Sumit Singh was arrested. Yes, you heard it right. Jenny Slatton's husband, Sumit Singh, found himself in serious trouble. In the world of reality television, love stories often capture hearts, but behind the cameras, the truth can be much darker. Sumit got tangled in nearly $280,000 of debt through online gambling. He not only racked up the debt, but he also pressured Jenny to pay it off. When he failed to repay the money, a lawsuit was filed and he was arrested. The court sentenced him to 1 year in prison. Facing overwhelming pressure and problems, Jenny had no choice but to divorce Sumit. Later, to start a new chapter, she decided to marry a man named Zach. This story is not just about love gone wrong. It is a cautionary tale of secrets, betrayal, and survival. To understand the magnitude of the betrayal, we must first look at what was at stake. Jenny Slattton was not your typical reality star. A woman from Palm Springs, California, she was nearing retirement when she fell into an unexpected romance. Like many modern love stories, it began online. Casual conversations blossomed into something deeper. Halfway around the world, in India, Sumit was captivated too. He was decades younger, adventurous, and eager to prove that age was just a number. When Jenny first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé, the other way, viewers saw her as a hopeful romantic. She had left behind her comfortable life in the United States to pursue love in a foreign country. Many found her courage inspiring, though friends and family questioned her choices. To Jenny, love was worth every sacrifice. Sumit also seemed devoted. He comforted Jenny through cultural shocks, defended her against his conservative family, and promised a future of happiness. At first, it looked like a modern fairy tale, an older American woman finding love with a younger Indian man against all odds. But cracks were forming beneath the surface. Behind Sumit's smiles and reassurances, he carried secrets he had not yet revealed. Jenny, blinded by love, believed she had finally found her soulmate. The early years were challenging. Family drama, money issues, and outside whispers threatened their union, but Jenny fought back. She believed love could overcome cultural boundaries. For a time, it seemed she was right. But Jenny had no idea that Sumit's hidden world was darker than she could imagine. He lived a double life, one filled with promises and devotion, and another consumed by temptation and addiction. Jenny had crossed the world for love, only to step into a storm that would engulf her life. Initially, their relationship seemed a beacon of hope. Distance, skepticism, and criticism could not break their bond. But small cracks began to show. Sumit's family never fully accepted Jenny. In India, age gaps are often scrutinized, and Jenny was old enough to be Sumit's mother. His family saw the relationship as an embarrassment rather than love. Jenny felt the weight daily. She wanted to be accepted but faced coldness and skepticism. For Sumit, this was suffocating. He loved Jenny but also craved his parents' approval, which never came. Tension grew. Arguments that once ended in laughter now lingered, and silence replaced joy. Jenny asked herself why they hated her and why she couldn't just be happy. Family drama wasn't the only issue. Small signs of trouble began appearing. Sumit seemed distracted, anxious, and restless, disappearing into his phone or laptop late at night. Jenny blamed stress. Sometimes he was unusually cheerful, almost euphoric. Other nights, he was tense and unreachable. Jenny, determined to keep their love alive, dismissed inconsistencies, telling herself he was just tired or under pressure. Money became another source of strain. Jenny, living off retirement savings, noticed small financial inconsistencies, bills unpaid, bank balances not adding up. Every time she asked, Sumit offered excuses, mistakes, late deposits, misunderstandings. Jenny wanted to trust him, having left her country, her home, and comfort for him. She chose faith over suspicion. But love can make people blind, and Jenny was no exception. She ignored shadows gathering around her, unaware that they marked the beginning of a darker storm. To outsiders, they were a couple fighting for love against all odds. But inside, cracks spread, eventually tearing the marriage apart. Jenny's story shifted from romance to survival. For months, she ignored the late nights, mood swings, and unexplained financial gaps. She believed Sumit when he said he was stressed or tired. She convinced herself that all relationships had ups and downs. But Sumit was fighting a battle she could not see, a battle he was losing. It began innocently. At first, Sumit told himself it was just curiosity. A poker game here, a sports bet there. Platforms were easy to access, and with a few clicks, he entered a digital world of flashing lights, spinning reels, and the illusion of quick fortune. Gambling became an escape. When his parents rejected Jenny, when friends whispered about their age gap, and when reality became overwhelming, he found comfort in the adrenaline of betting. At first, the amounts were small. A few hundred lost here, a small win there. But soon it grew into nearly $280,000 of debt, a secret Sumit desperately tried to hide. He pressured Jenny to cover it, but she had no idea of the extent of his problem. When he failed to pay, legal action followed, leading to his arrest and eventual prison sentence. Jenny, forced to face betrayal and financial stress, made the difficult decision to divorce Sumit. After the divorce, she found a chance to rebuild her life with a man named Zach. Her story is not just about heartbreak. It is about survival, self-respect, and learning to choose happiness over devotion that blinds. Jenny's journey began as a brave leap for love, but ended in the hard reality of betrayal and deception. Sumit's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of secrets, gambling addiction, and living a double life. Together, their experiences show that love, while powerful, should never require you to lose yourself or ignore warning signs. In the end, Jenny found the courage to leave behind heartbreak and start anew. Her story reminds viewers that even after betrayal, it is possible to reclaim your life, protect your happiness, and find love that is genuine and supportive. Sumit's story remains a warning. Actions have consequences, and shortcuts to thrill or fortune can destroy relationships and reputations. Jenny's journey, from hope and sacrifice to heartbreak and survival, is a story of resilience. It shows that sometimes the hardest lessons teach the greatest truths, that love must be grounded in honesty, respect, and shared responsibility. And that, no matter the pain, it is never too late to choose your own happiness. Jenny never noticed at first. And when she did ask, Sumit told her it was just a little fun. But as every gambler knows, it never stays little for long. Wins made him bold, losses made him desperate, and soon the amounts began to climb. Thousands turned into tens of thousands. Every time he lost, he promised himself he would win it back with the next bet. But the hole only grew deeper. By the time Jenny started sensing something was wrong, Sumit was already tangled in nearly $280,000 of debt. The scale of it was staggering. He had borrowed from online lenders, maxed out credit lines, and taken risky loans with sky-high interest. Every day, the pressure mounted. Collection emails flooded his inbox. Anonymous phone calls demanded repayment. And still, Sumit could not stop. Jenny began noticing changes. He was nervous around the phone, always rushing to answer calls. His hands shook when he logged into his laptop late at night. There were unexplained withdrawals from their shared account. When Jenny questioned him, he became defensive. "Why are you always doubting me? Don't you trust me?" he would snap, shifting the blame onto her. Hurt, but still clinging to love, Jenny would back down. "Of course I trust you, Sumit. I left everything for you." But deep down, her instincts warned her something was terribly wrong. Sumit's addiction wasn't just financial, it was emotional. His moods rose and fell with his bets. When he won, he was euphoric, showering Jenny with affection. When he lost, he became distant, irritable, even cruel. Jenny felt as though she was living with two different men, one who promised her the world and another lost in a dark obsession. The tragedy of addiction is that it never stays hidden forever. Secrets have a way of surfacing, and Sumit's were about to explode into the open. One evening, Jenny stumbled upon a string of emails while using Sumit's laptop. They weren't from friends or family. They were from lenders, debt collectors, and gambling platforms. The subject lines made her blood run cold. Final notice, immediate payment required, account overdue. Jenny's hands trembled as she read the amounts, thousands upon thousands owed to strangers she had never heard of. Her heart sank. The man she thought she knew, the man she had given up everything for, was living a double life. When she confronted Sumit, his face drained of color. At first, he denied it. Then he blamed stress, saying gambling was just a way to cope. But under Jenny's pressing, the truth spilled out. The staggering $280,000 debt hanging over both of them like a noose. Jenny felt the room spin. Everything she had built with him, every sacrifice she had made, suddenly seemed meaningless. Love had carried her across the world, but lies had left her stranded in a nightmare. And worse, Sumit didn't just confess, he begged. He pleaded with Jenny to help pay off the debt, insisting that together they could overcome it. But for Jenny, it wasn't just about money anymore. It was about trust. And trust, once broken, is almost impossible to repair. This secret wasn't just about finances. It was about to drag her into a legal storm that would change their lives forever. The cracks in their marriage were no longer hidden. They had erupted, and the world was about to see just how far the fall could go. Debt multiplies. What starts as a single misstep can snowball into a mountain too heavy to carry. For Sumit, $280,000 wasn't just a number. It was a storm he could no longer outrun. For Jenny, it was the beginning of the darkest chapter of her life. At first, Jenny tried to believe him. When Sumit tearfully confessed, she clung to hope, thinking it was a mistake, a one-time slip they could manage together. Love is about forgiveness, she told herself. Maybe if I stand by him, he'll change. But Sumit wasn't changing. Instead of stepping back, he doubled down. He convinced himself the only way out was to gamble his way out. One big win, he thought, and everything would be fine. Loans could be repaid, Jenny would forgive him, and even his parents might respect him again. But that big win never came. Each loss widened the gap. Online lenders charged crushing interest. Collection calls grew aggressive. Some creditors threatened legal action, and Sumit sank deeper into the gambling platforms that had already ruined him. Jenny, meanwhile, lived in constant anxiety. Retired and living on limited savings, she never imagined being dragged into such chaos in her golden years. Every dollar became critical. Grocery trips felt heavier, bills suffocating. Nights that once echoed with laughter now rang with silence and stress. Sumit's pressure on Jenny grew unbearable. He pleaded for her to cover his debts, claiming she was his only hope. "Without you, everything will collapse," he said. At first, Jenny resisted. "I can't do this, Sumit. I don't have that kind of money. I came here for love, not to pay off your mistakes," she cried. But Sumit pushed harder, shifting from pleading to guilt-tripping. "Didn't you say you'd stand by me no matter what? Didn't you leave your whole life behind for me? Then prove it. Help me. Lend me something. Anything." Jenny felt trapped. She had already sacrificed so much, and now the man she trusted with her heart was demanding her financial security too. Behind the scenes, creditors were circling. Some sent official letters. Others arrived at the door. Jenny feared answering the phone or opening the mailbox. Every knock felt like a threat. The scandal began spreading. Word of Sumit's gambling debts leaked to neighbors and acquaintances. Whispers turned into judgment. Jenny, once admired by fans for her bravery, now felt humiliated. The man she loved was drowning, and he was pulling her down with him. The breaking point came when Jenny discovered that Sumit had secretly pawned some of her belongings, jewelry, electronics, even sentimental items, to buy more time. When she confronted him, he was cold, almost detached. "I had no choice," he said. "It was either that or let them come after me harder." Jenny's heart shattered. Trust once broken is nearly impossible to rebuild. And now it wasn't just debt on paper. It was betrayal she could see with her own eyes. The numbers kept climbing. Interest piled on top of interest until repayment was impossible. What began as gambling losses became a legal nightmare. Creditors filed formal complaints. Lawyers got involved. Whispers of lawsuits became a terrifying reality. Jenny spent many nights staring at the ceiling, asking herself the same question over and over. How did I end up here? She had crossed oceans for love, fought for a marriage no one believed in, and now watched it collapse under the weight of lies and debt. The debt wasn't just financial anymore. It had become emotional, mental, and spiritual. It consumed every part of Jenny's life. With each passing day, she realized more clearly that she might not be able to save Sumit or their marriage. But the debt collectors didn't care about love stories or heartbreak. They wanted repayment. When repayment didn't come, they filed suit against Sumit Singh. Suddenly, Jenny and Sumit's story wasn't just about a broken marriage. It was becoming a courtroom drama the world would hear about. Debt isn't just numbers on a page. It is weight. It is shadow. It is a constant whisper that follows you from morning to night. For Jenny, that whisper soon became a scream. The truth was undeniable. Sumit Singh had lost nearly $280,000 to online gambling. Lawsuits loomed, creditors stalked them, and the quiet, simple life Jenny had dreamed of in India was slipping further away. Sumit wasn't just drowning in his own mistakes. He was pulling Jenny down with him. At first, his words were desperate. "Jenny, please, you're all I have. If you don't help me, I'll lose everything," he begged, tears in his eyes. Jenny tried to stay strong. "Sumit, I can't. I don't have that kind of money. I left my life in America for you. My savings aren't endless." But Sumit didn't stop. He pressed harder. "You get a pension. You have something saved. Just help me a little. I'll pay it back. I swear." Jenny shook her head. She had already given him more than she could afford. Still, the debt ballooned. Still, the creditors came. Desperation soon turned to guilt tripping. "So, all those times you said you love me, they were lies. You won't even help me when I need you most. After everything I've done for you," Jenny's hands trembled. She had fought his family, endured ridicule, and stood by him when no one else would. And now, somehow, she was the villain. The pressure grew heavier. Each morning began with questions about money. Each night ended with arguments. Jenny no longer felt like a wife. She felt like a hostage, trapped between her love for Sumit and the crushing reality of what he was asking her to sacrifice. The fear was worse. The fear that if she didn't help him, something terrible might happen. Sumit's moods were unpredictable. At times, he was frantic, pacing the apartment, muttering to himself. At other times, he was cold and silent, staring at the wall as if lost in a darkness Jenny could never reach. She began to fear what he might do, not just to himself, but to her. The creditors added to the nightmare. Phone calls became relentless. Some were polite but firm. Others were threatening, voices sharp and intimidating. Jenny froze when the phone rang, her stomach twisting into knots. Neighbors began to whisper. People noticed visits from debt collectors, arguments spilling into the hallways, late-night shouting matches. Jenny, once proud of the love she had defended on television, now felt humiliated. There was no peace left. The breaking point came one evening when Sumit stood over Jenny, his voice shaking with anger. "If you don't help me, Jenny, they'll ruin me. Do you understand? They'll take everything and it'll be on you. You're my wife. You're supposed to help me." Jenny, tears in her eyes, whispered the only truth she had left. "I can't save you, Sumit. Not from this. Not from yourself." The words hung heavy. For the first time, Jenny allowed herself to see what was happening. This wasn't just about debt. It was about control. It was about a man who had gambled away not only money, but trust, love, and the very foundation of their marriage. Still, the pressure didn't stop. Each day brought new demands, fights, and heartbreak. Slowly, Jenny realized something she never wanted to admit. Love alone was not enough anymore. The woman who had left everything behind for love was now being asked to give up her dignity, safety, and sanity. Jenny's heart was breaking, and soon so would their marriage. The truth always surfaces. You can bury it under lies, cover it with excuses, or distract with promises, but eventually, it rises. For Jenny, the truth about Sumit Singh's double life came crashing down in a way she could no longer ignore. For weeks, Jenny had lived under suffocating pressure. Constant begging, relentless phone calls, late-night arguments left her in tears. She had given Sumit the benefit of the doubt countless times, telling herself he was stressed, that maybe he exaggerated, that things weren't as bad as they seemed. But the truth was far worse than she imagined. It began with an envelope, a thick, official-looking packet delivered one humid afternoon. Jenny's name wasn't on it, but the address matched theirs. Trembling, she placed it on the table, waiting for Sumit curiosity and fear gnawed at her, and she opened it. Inside were documents detailing lawsuits filed against Sumit Singh. The numbers jumped off the page: $280,000 in outstanding debt, multiple creditors demanding immediate repayment, interest charges, legal fees, threats of asset seizure, and a notice of pending court action. Jenny's heart sank. The excuses, the small losses, the temporary setbacks.